Welcome to the Rewilded Human podcast, where Dr. Lucille and Lynn will tackle your most difficult and intimate questions with candor, tough love, and a little dash of humor. In today's episode,
you may be afraid, it sounds like I'm reading between the lines, but you may be afraid that she's going to have hurt feelings. Well, yes, of course she's going to have hurt feelings, but it's better that you give her the respect of telling her to her face directly rather than just leaving her high and dry, not knowing what happened, right?
There's no solution, because I know with a mother like that, you just can't sit down and talk to her and make her understand what she's doing is wrong. So the only thing you can do is just to avoid the situation completely. That would be how I would handle it.
When you start getting anxious or panicky, to calm yourself down, soothe yourself, to envision. Sometimes it really helps to envision the life that you really want to lead and really focus on it and really feel as if it's happening, because that will start programming your unconscious to start creating that. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Rewilded Human podcast. This is episode 54. I'm Dr. Lucille Neckes. I'm a holistic psychiatrist and psychotherapist, and this is my brilliant and beautiful podcast partner, Lynn Hardy, who's a naturopath and clinical nutritionist. And together, we want to help unpack your problems so that you can get back to a really natural, fulfilled life. So we have a number of problems that people have sent us, so we're going to get right into it.
I've been dating a woman for a few months. I thought I was into her, but the more I've gotten to know her, the more I realize we're not compatible. But she's wanting a commitment. How do I tell her I'd prefer to move on?
Well, thank you very much, Ian, for your question. You know what happens? Men generally just ghost women when they get to this into this kind of dilemma. And I'm very, very glad that you're doing this consciously and you're reaching out for help, because ghosting is a horrible way to deal with this kind of issue. I read that you are in the relationship for a few months. Now, what may have happened is you may have kind of gone along with, perhaps you haven't been completely open or honest about your feelings, or maybe you are just realizing now that it's not working. Whatever the case is, my whole philosophy is, in a relationship, you always want to address the issues as they come up, as much as you possibly can. Now, sometimes you get little red flags and you're not sure, and sometimes you sit on it a little bit to clarify, is this really a red flag or isn't it? But if you're getting an ongoing feeling like, we really are not compatible, you need to deal with it as soon as possible. And the most respectful way to do it is, as I say, not by ghosting, but by being direct, just being direct.
And in person, not by text,
right? In person, not by text. Yeah, absolutely. You may be afraid, it sounds like I'm reading between the lines, but you may be afraid that she's going to have hurt feelings. Well, yes, let's be honest. Of course she's going to have hurt feelings, but it's better that you give her the respect of telling her to her face directly rather than just leaving her high and dry, not knowing what happened, right? So I would suggest something like, you may cushion it by saying to her, listen, you have this, and this wonderful quality, and I've enjoyed spending time with you because of, all the good things that you've brought to our dating. And I also see that, as I've gotten to know you more, we really are not on the same page when it comes to certain really important values or certain important dreams that I may have, or plans for the future, that we just don't line up on all levels. And I'm sorry, it's important to me that anybody I'm dating, if it's going to be serious, I want us to be aligned on certain really important things. I'm not here to be critical of you. It's just that I feel that this is it's not a match made in heaven. And I think it's best if we both just move on.
Yeah, and I
Now,
think,
I don't know.
Ian, do it like as soon as possible. Don't
As
drag it
soon as
on.
possible.
Don't.
Don't.
Hopefully, you're not waiting for this episode to come out, because this will be a
This
couple
will
of
be a
months
couple
from
of
now, and Ian's still sitting there. What to do? What to do? Do I tell her? Not tell her? What can I do?
Yeah, and we're both hoping you haven't ghosted her in the meantime.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
It's like,
no,
just rip
I
off the
agree.
Band-Aid.
Rip off the Band-Aid, and give her the respect of knowing that she is also an adult, and she has to deal with her own feelings, and she's capable of dealing with her own emotions. You do not have to fix her emotions for her. You just have to be honest in a respectful way. That's it,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah, exactly. It's not you, it's me. You know how they always start.
Well, I think that's a bunch of BS, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody buy that anymore? I
Or
think
I
there are
love you
times
as a friend.
Sorry?
I love you as a friend. Do you think they can be friends afterwards, after
I
something
have
like
no idea. I have no idea, because every couple is different,
Yeah.
And if she's really heartbroken and she really is looking for a long-term commitment, as it sounds like he is, they may not want to spend time and energy on a quote unquote friendship. Some people
Yeah.
they have more than enough friends, but they're looking for that special
Yeah.
relationship. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't
That
think you
makes
should
sense.
promise friendship as a kind of way to ease the emotional wounds. Oh,
Yeah.
but we can still stay friends. Don't worry about it.
It's
If you
patronizing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I don't do anything that's not authentic.
Yeah.
Don't just try to people please.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Best of luck to you, Ian.
Yeah. And
We have a
thanks for the
very
question.
interesting, it's a great question. Definitely. I'm sure a
Yeah.
lot of people have this predicament. So the next one
Mhm.
is from Rebecca, and this is a very interesting question, guys.
Hi, ladies. I'm married and living abroad, but I know it's time to leave. The problem is, I don't know how to go back home and start over. The thought of leaving a country, a life, and a husband feels overwhelming, and I'm terrified of being homeless or not knowing where to begin. How do I find the courage to make such a huge life change when I'm not quite there yet? What steps can I take to start over and rebuild my life from scratch? Thanks, Rebecca.
Rebecca, thank you so much. You are so brave for coming forward and for bringing this question to us. We really appreciate it. Rebecca is one of my followers on Instagram. We chatted a little bit. I wanted to get some more information, more background on her story. So she's actually living in Turkey, and she's been there for about 20 years. She was going back and forth. She's from the UK originally, and she married a Turkish man. So the culture is very, very different. At the same time, she has all her friends in Turkey. And going back to the UK, doesn't have any family, she doesn't have a job, resources, or anything. So she literally has to start her life from scratch after 20 years. Very, very difficult.
Very difficult, yeah.
But speaking to her and reading her words, I really feel like Rebecca has already made the decision to go. So I think that's not even up for debate. I think she's ready to leave. She's had enough. She's fed up with her marriage, the cultural differences, I'm sure religious differences. There's a very different way that they treat women in some countries, and she's fed up. I know she has some friends in the UK who are willing to help her, but what can she do? Like, what steps can she take? This is the help where she needs help, like how to get out, how do you start your life all over again? Lucille, what do you think?
Well, the most important thing is your own mental stability, your emotional stability. And it's good that you have made the decision. And I know that you're very scared. I certainly would be in your position. I know most people would be. But to keep yourself going through that fear, you need to pay a lot of attention to your own stability. You have to find ways to, when you start getting anxious or panicky, to calm yourself down, soothe yourself, to envision. Sometimes it really helps to envision the life that you really want to lead. and really focus on it and really feel as if it's happening, because that will start programming your unconscious to start creating that. Now, at the same time, though, you're going to have a lot of grief. Maybe you're going to have shame. Maybe you're going to have guilt. Maybe you're going to just feel helpless, whatever. You need to acknowledge all those feelings and deal with them. Don't suppress them. They're all really important to have right now. It's really important to process them. Maybe you want to journal. Therapy might be helpful at this point if you feel that you're so inclined, but you do need support. You need to first be giving yourself the support and saying that it's okay to have turbulent emotions, to have times when you have no idea which end is up and it's getting very scary. It's okay. Don't fight with that. Don't try to suppress that, because if you do, it will get worse. Okay. Accept your feelings, but at the same time, you want to cultivate a practice. Maybe it's through meditation, of going into a state of calmness every once in a while and envisioning that beautiful life that you really want to be leading. Program yourself to start creating that, like in the blueprint of your unconscious. Once you do that, once you get to that place of feeling like, yeah, I can, this is hard, but I know I can do it. I'm starting to get confidence that I can move forward. Then you do take it step by step. In fact, I would say you probably do need to start now if you haven't already. But even the tiniest step forward is better than waiting for you to be perfectly cool, calm, and collected, right? Because the actions will also start bringing you maybe results or information, and they'll start helping you to feel calmer. Oh, I know I have this resource in the UK. I know I have this friend who's willing to help me. I've reached out. I've done the right things. I'm starting my research. Even that, is so very helpful to stabilizing your nervous system, right?
Yeah.
I would not rush it if I were you. I would take my time, do it step by step. Don't overwhelm yourself, and deal with whatever you need to deal with in a way that is right for you, as much as you can.
And
You can.
she also mentioned, Lucille, that she'll never be able to go back to Turkey. So once she leaves, because of her husband, she has to leave the whole life, her friends, everyone behind, and she'll never be able to go back. So it's a very hard decision. It's a very, very difficult,
Oh, yeah.
to be, I'm not sure if she's in her 50s or how old she is exactly, but to start a whole new life and to leave everything behind, to find new work. And she's worried about the financial issues, how she'll be able to make ends meet. So it's definitely a lot to unpack there. But I really like the idea of actually visualizing the beautiful life and the freedom that I'm sure she's feeling. I just get this feeling like she's feeling suffocated, like she can't breathe. And I guess she just never got used to the cultural differences. It's very difficult when two people marry from two very different cultures. I can't even imagine. So definitely don't rush things, Rebecca. I think Dr. Lucy is absolutely right about that. Make sure you have everything set up for your arrival back to the UK so that you can start a new life. And I mean, it's good that you already have friends there, and hopefully they can help you, find work and get you accommodations, or you have somewhere to stay for the beginning. I think it's going to be a really tough road, but once you've made that decision and once you've taken that step, and then you realize that the best years are still ahead of you, and you can have a wonderful life and find new love or new friends and build a new life. I mean, that's exciting too, to build a new life, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We've done that so many times. We've moved all around the world. Like every few years we move and we leave all our friends behind and start a new life and make new friends. And there's something also very exciting about that. It's like you get to live so many different lives within a lifetime. So it's kind of cool. We always say some people change partners all the time, and my husband and I, we just keep changing houses and countries instead of each other. But it's so I mindset is everything, Rebecca. If you look at this as a wonderful, positive change. And, good for you for being brave enough to go and do it and to start all
Yeah,
over again. Because how hard
yeah,
is it? And how many women end up putting up with abuse and, living a horrible life because they just don't have the means to get out or the strength to get out.
right.
So you are very, very brave. And we are
Yes.
super proud of you, and we appreciate you reaching out to us so much. And Rebecca, I'll be waiting for your DM with the updates and everything. And I'll be in Turkey on Sunday, so be thinking of me. Thank you very much for the question, Rebecca. We're
Yeah.
on to Monica.
Hi, Lynn and Lucille. I'm having a major challenge with my mother. Ever since I started dating as a teen, she's competed with me for my boyfriends. I'm 25 now, and I've learned never to bring my boyfriends home to meet her because she'll totally embarrass me by flirting with them. It makes the guys very uncomfortable. Talking to her about it is impossible because she breaks down in tears and can't understand why I'm being so cruel to her. What should I do? Thanks for your help, Monica.
Well, Monica, I'm so happy that you reached out. You may find that you're the only one in your peer group who has this problem. It's rare, but it does happen. I've had clients who've had this experience. I hope that you haven't taken it on as somehow you're the problem here, because you absolutely are not. Your mother, even though she looks like an older adult, is inside herself. She's really an insecure little girl, maybe like still in puberty, just a little over the age of puberty. And something happened to her that made her feel so insecure that she's constantly needing male attention. And rather than acting like an appropriate mother to her daughter and supporting her daughter in learning how to date, learning, what's appropriate to, for guys to be involved with, how she can conduct herself when she's dating and all of that. She should have been a support to you in your dating life, not competing with you. And it's just such a sign of emotional immaturity. I do have compassion for her, but I can really see how it's messed with your life, your dating life. You don't mention it, but how many guys have kind of decided that you're not worth it because they don't want to go through the drama with your mother.
Or they go with the mother, they go with the milf.
Yeah, she doesn't say that happened, but I don't know if it did or not,
But would we know? Maybe she might not even know. I mean, it's very fashionable now.
Yeah, because I have heard of this where, the mother takes up the daughter doesn't in one case, it was the daughter did not know that years after she ended a relationship with a boyfriend, the boyfriend had an affair with the mother.
Oh
right? She just didn't know about it. She found out about it later. Thankfully, he wasn't a big part of her life at all anymore, but still, it's like
disgusting.
It is disgusting. It really, really is. So, and
what can Monica say, what can she say, or what can she do with her mother?
Monica, I perfectly understand that you don't want to bring boyfriends home, especially if you're not at a stage of the relationship being serious. You don't want to bring them home. Obviously, you can't talk to your mother. She's going to break down, as you said, like a little girl. You're like mommy telling her that she's been bad, so it's really hard to get through to an individual like that who's just at that very low level of maturity. So one thing is, if you find a guy that you're really serious about and you really want to take it to the next level, you're going to have to educate him about your mother. I don't want to diagnose your mother. I hate doing that if I've never seen the person, but you might want to educate yourself about narcissism. And so that you understand how to deal with that.
Or read the book. There's a great book, Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers.
Yes.
You read that and you might, maybe recognize some other issues that are going on, and then it's not us diagnosing, but you might do stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's a great idea. It's just so you're on solid ground and you understand the dynamics here, and then you educate your partner about it, so he's not caught off guard by this, mom coming on to him. Yeah, so that's really the way you have to play it. And so if you do get to that point where you're introducing someone into your life, into, your quote unquote family, you kind of have to gird your loins, get your boyfriend to gird his loins, and go in there and be very matter of fact about it. And don't get into any dramas with the mother. Just be very matter of fact, respectful, but you don't get chummy, you don't get overly friendly. It's like, hi mom, this is the man that I want to marry, whatever it is, but here he is. And you might find that you're having to dodge a lot of invitations to bring him over for dinner.
I would just keep the guys away completely.
Really. Yeah, really.
But I mean, also, Monica, you're 25, maybe you should be living on your own. You're a big girl.
I don't know. From what we have of her question, I don't know if she's living on her own, but perhaps she is, but she's still in that stage of, geez, I got a new boyfriend. I don't want to bring him to meet my mom.
Yeah.
So that's her. Yeah. I don't know. But yes, it involves a lot of emotional, shall I say, detachment, so that you're not getting drawn into mama's dramas. You're not taking care of her feelings, and you're just being very, very matter of fact about, this is my boyfriend, not your boyfriend. It's my boyfriend, right?
Do you think she should say something while it's happening, when the guy's there? Like, should she call the mother out and say, mom, that's not appropriate, or can you please stop that, or have some respect, or would you say something like that?
Depending on how outrageous the mother's behavior is, you're going to have to say something. Like, if the mother's behavior is really outrageous, like she starts wanting to sit on the guy's lap and, whatever, you and probably the boyfriend should also say something like, I'm not comfortable with this behavior. I barely know you. I'm just here to, introduce myself. You will have to say something, but you also have to be prepared that you're going to get a major outburst of drama.
Oh yeah, of course. Imagine if the roles were reversed and the mom had a boyfriend and Monica was hitting on the boyfriend. How would the mother feel? She'd be livid, right? That would not be okay.
Yeah, she wouldn't be okay, but then she's a narcissistic mother, I think.
Yeah.
And so she wouldn't she's not able to put herself in other people's shoes. That's the problem. Right? You can set limits, but she will think you are a real bitch because you're being mean to her.
And she'll play the victim. Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
So what do you think, Lynn?
Anything else? I would just probably keep the guys as far away from my mother as possible. Like, I would not, if she's living at home, I would not bring them home. If she's not living at home, then until it was someone that I was ready to marry or something, I would just avoid the conflict completely, because that would make me feel very uncomfortable. It makes the guys feel very uncomfortable. There's no solution, because I know with a mother like that, you just can't sit down and talk to her and make her understand what she's doing is wrong. So the only thing you can do is just to avoid the situation completely. That would be how I would handle it.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good luck, Monica. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. And I hope it really works out for you. I hope that you detach yourself from your mom's behavior.
Yeah, I hope so too, Monica. All the best to you. So let's see the next question that we have.
Dear Dr. Lucille and Dr. Lynn, I've started recovering sexual abuse memories in therapy. The perpetrator was my uncle, whom everyone in the family loves. I'm struggling with the idea that I just made it up. It's so bizarre, and yet my body and my emotions tell me it's true. I have a strong urge to talk to my sisters to find out if it happened to them too. My therapist suggested I do more of my own healing before deciding to speak to anyone in the family about this. What do you think? Sincerely, Marcia.
Marcia, thank you so much for sharing something so personal with us. We really appreciate your question. This is something that I've thought about a lot, because, it comes up in a lot of people's lives that we suppress memories and it comes out later on. And I've thought about this so much, Lucille, like, you know, we do like hypnotherapy and these memories come back, or during therapy, memories come back. But, and I really question, like, how can you trust those memories or those, you know, when these things rise to the surface, how do we know, how can we differentiate if it's, and I think this is very much Marsha's question as well, how do we know if it's actually true and it actually happened?
Well, here's the thing. A healthy person who's never had any trauma is not just going to manufacture it out of thin air. That just doesn't happen. They just live their lives and they enjoy their lives. They have no need to manufacture anything. You know, then the next question becomes, if you're having body sensations, if you're actually having emotional reactions, like you panic at the thought of meeting up with, meeting up with the uncle at a family gathering, all of a sudden you're just paralyzed with fear. If, you know, if I don't know if you're in a sexual relationship, but if you're having sex and suddenly you freeze up because your partner is doing something to you that the perpetrator may have done, these are all signs that you are not making it up. Okay.
But can someone put those ideas in your head and then your body reacts to it accordingly? Like, for example, you know, you go to a therapist and the therapist, you know, comes to the conclusion that your uncle was dodgy and maybe molested you, and you never thought of it that way, but then all of a sudden now you're looking at it so differently. Like, can that also happen?
Good question. It's a good question, but it usually happens more in people who are so emotionally fragile that they have no inner compass. They're already very traumatized by something that happened in their lives, and they just are fragmented. Their consciousness is fragmented. They don't have a deep inner core of wisdom or truth that they can count on. It can happen to children. Children actually are very suggestible. And so you can do that to children or older adults who are very, very fragile in their mental health. But for other people who, may be reasonably healthy, have gone through, the basics of maturation, it's not so easy to just suggest sexual abuse and to have full-blown body reactions and emotional reactions. Can people misinterpret something that happened? Yeah, they could. However, they're still traumatized by it, right? So that has to be dealt with.
Yeah. Do you think that she should be? Because I mean, my first impulse would be to go and share it with my family and ask if it happened to someone else, because that would be like,
well, no, that's the tricky part. That's the tricky part. And that I would suggest that I agree with your therapist, Marsha, that you should not do anything until you have gone further in your healing, because you have a certain story that you've shared with the family about the family. You've shared it all your life. So this is the beloved uncle. And we are, maybe the story is, and we're a very close and happy family. And everybody is invested in maintaining that story. And so if suddenly you're questioning the story, suddenly you're realizing, oh, things were not all that happy, bad things are happening, you don't know what kind of reaction you're going to get from your family members if you start poking at their cherished family story.
Especially if everybody loves Uncle Bob, right?
If they yes, if they love Uncle Bob, especially if it's a matter of pride to them in the larger community that they're such a happy, healthy, loving family. How dare you? How dare you? Maybe the reaction. How dare you besmirch our entire family? And then, of course, there's the other side to this, which is, if any of the other members were also abused and they're not ready to face what happened to them, that they could have a really catastrophic reaction. They could blow up at you, right? Because you are poking at their most sensitive, most secretive parts.
Yeah,
and they are not ready to go there. you know? So, and as you go through your healing, you'll be able to start seeing not only what happened to you and working through that, but also starting to notice things about your family dynamic that you may not have noticed before because you were so blinded by the family story. And you weren't questioning it, and you weren't maybe seeing contradictions. And this is what happens to a lot of people in their healing from sexual abuse, is they start perceiving things that they hadn't perceived before, but are now suddenly crystal clear, and it makes sense to them. Things start making sense to them in a way that they never had before. So, and that will inform you. Knowing more about how the family dynamic works, what's really going on under the surface, will inform you as to whether or not it's in your best interest to start talking to people, or it's better to leave it all alone, right?
But still, like when our bodies suppress these memories, I mean, it's
Mhm.
obviously like a defense mechanism, right? It's protecting us
Sure,
from something. Do you
sure.
think it's always a good idea to bring it to the surface? Or,
In a safe way, absolutely, but you have to be safe.
yeah,
Eventually it all has to come out on the surface in order for it to be healed, but you have to pace yourself. You can't just force everything to come up before you're ready, because your whole being is trying, most of the time, is trying to protect you,
yeah,
trying to help you survive better. And in order to really survive better, sure, you have to heal from all of these sexual abuse memories, but you don't want to overwhelm your system. You don't want to like put a lighted match to gasoline and just, okay, all right, let's get it all out onto the surface. That can be re-traumatizing.
yeah.
That can be re-traumatizing. So I've had people that I think one client I saw, and she came to me from another long-term therapy she'd had with a previous therapist. And I dealt with her on and off for like over 10 years. And it wasn't until 2 years ago that she started recovering sexual abuse memories. We knew there was always something so terribly wrong in the family,
Yeah.
all this addiction and chaos and all of that. It was taking her a very, very long time to heal from that. And then when she was finally ready, when she'd done a lot of work on other issues, it was like her system was finally ready, strong enough to start bringing up the sexual abuse memories. And really, it accelerated her healing once that happened. So you can't predict, and there's no formula for when you're ready and how fast it should go and what are the conditions under which you will be ready. But I think, Marcia, it's really, really great that you are starting to deal with this, at least with yourself. And the most important thing is that you get your own healing done.
So she should
And
definitely do her own healing before she
absolutely.
brings it out to her sisters and to her
Yes.
family. Well, mind you,
Yes.
it makes sense in a way because, what if it happened to the sisters as well, and then they will need to be going through their own healing. So she'd be able to assist them once she's at that point. I mean, right now, if the trauma hits everybody all at once, it will be a very
Oh,
difficult situation because
yeah.
they will not be able to support each other.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Great point.
Makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. So, Marcia, we wish you all the best. I think you're on the right track in terms of being in therapy, and we hope, if you have the inclination, to contact us again and tell us how you're doing later on. Okay, give us
Thank
an
you very
update.
much for your
Thank
question,
you.
Marsha. And thank you everyone for your questions. That brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you so much, Dr. Lucille. Always a pleasure doing these with you. And guys, please keep sending us your questions. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment on this video or podcast, wherever you're listening. Share it with a friend. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. All the best.
All the best. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Please be aware that Lynn and I are here to provide insights, advice, stories that are for educational and entertainment purposes only. None of our content should be considered to be personal, medical, or mental health therapy. If you are experiencing a mental health or physical health challenge, please consult the appropriate healthcare specialist. We are here to provide the best possible content in an atmosphere of positive conversation and personal growth.